Hello, and thank you for joining us for this alumni panel. Thanks for joining us for this alumni panel as part of the MCPHS Accepted Student Week. My name is Tim Ryan. I am one of the admission counselors at MCPHS, and I'm joined by a few of our alumni today who will help answer some questions to help give you a little bit of an idea of what you can expect from the MCPHS experience. I want to congratulate all of our accepted students and their families on your acceptance to MCPHS, and I want to thank you for joining us this evening. I'm going to have each of our alumni panelists introduce themselves, and then I have a list of questions that we've already got ready to go. But I do encourage you to type any questions that you have for our alumni into the Q&A box. We'll see if we have time to answer those toward the end of our presentation. So I'm going to have each alumni introduce themselves. I'm going to start off with Shilton.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shilton. I'm an international student from South Africa. I recently just graduated from MCPHS last year in 2020. I graduated from the School of Arts and Sciences with a Bachelor's of Medical and Molecular Biology. So yeah, I'm looking forward to giving you an insight as to what my experience was like.
Excellent. Thanks, Shilton. Next up is Patsy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Patsy Castellino. I'm originally from Watertown, Connecticut, and I'm a proud graduate of the class of 2018, the Doctor of Pharmacy program. Excited to speak more to you all.
Thanks, Patsy. Next up, Nick, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nick. I am from Killingly, Connecticut, and I studied the Bachelor of Pre-Dental Dental Hygiene and graduated in 2018.
Excellent. Thank you, Nick. And last but not least, Natasha.
Hi, everyone. I'm Natasha. I am a recent graduate of the 2019 Diagnostic Medical Sonography class, and I'm originally from Long Island, New York.
Excellent. That's right. Long Island, New York. I recruit students from Long Island, New York. So anyone who's watching from Long Island, I'm saying a special hello to you guys this evening. So I'm going to get started with our questions. The first question is about what types of opportunities for employment there are for MCPHS graduates who are thinking of moving to and living in Boston, either during or after their time in school. We're going to start off with you, Shilton, talking about the different types of opportunities for employment for graduates of MCPHS.
Yeah, being in the Longwood medical area is really advantageous. There's so many opportunities for employment, either part-time or full-time, while you're in school, as well as after you're done with school. I myself, I worked part-time while I was in school as a clinical research assistant, and I was really looking for research experience. So there were a bunch of options for me. Once you graduate, there's such a huge workforce available for you to go into, depending on the type of degree you get or the type of school you graduate from. So I graduated from the School of Arts and Sciences with a bachelor's, and so I was still looking to continue my work in research. And so right now I'm working as a clinical research coordinator at Joslin, and I got that job right after graduating. I graduated in May and started working in July. So there's really no shortcoming of opportunities for students in healthcare. But yeah, I know Patsy can talk a little bit more about residencies and fellowships and other types of opportunities after your doctorate degree.
Yeah, great. Thanks. How about you, Patsy, if you want to share some of your insights?
Yeah, thanks. And thanks, Tim, and thanks, Shilton. I think you hit the nail on the head. And if you think of tech in Silicon Valley and you think of finance in New York, you think of healthcare and you think of Boston. And so I think beyond just the Longwood medical area, you kind of expand your net into the greater Boston area. And there's so many wonderful hospitals. There's so many different healthcare systems that call Boston their home. This is definitely one of the advantages that I wasn't so aware of when I was first applying, but I quickly learned once I was a student at MCPHS. And after graduation, I think what the most important thing to know is that there's a huge network of MCPHS alumni in and around Boston. So not only are there these great institutions that you'll have opportunities to get exposure to, but there's also a great network of people that will help get you there. So yeah, I think that's a great question, Tim.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, the alumni network is so strong for MCPHS. Of course, we have some great alums who are always willing to share their experience at events like this, and you'll find that there are a lot of alums who are willing to help you out as you go through your time as a student at MCPHS. So the next question, how do you feel MCPHS prepared you for your career? And I'll start off with you, Nick. How do you feel MCPHS prepared you for your career?
All right. So as I had already mentioned, I studied pre-dental dental hygiene. So for me, it prepared me very well. Studied dental hygiene, and so I learned how to clean the teeth. And now I'm currently in dental school. So I've been able to apply the courses that I took as a dental hygiene student. So like pathology courses and how to use instruments, how to deal with managed patients. And I've been able to use that in dental school as well now. So as well as the prerequisite courses that I had to take. So of course, like anatomy and physiologies, the organic chemistries, the basic chemistries, biologies, those have all been helpful because as you go along in your schooling too, they just reappear. So you start with the basic sciences in your freshman year, and then every year they either build on it or they'll just briefly retouch on it and then kind of expect you to know it. So it's definitely kind of helped me currently.
Excellent. The same question for you, Natasha. How do you feel MCPHS prepared you for your career?
I'm pretty similar to Nick, where, like I said earlier, I graduated in the School of Medical Imaging. Therefore, I do ultrasounds of the heart. One of the great things that I loved about MCPHS is that we have a fully working and accredited ultrasound lab. So I, just like Nick said, I started off with all my basics, anatomy, chemistry. And then my second year, which is considered the professional phase, from day one, I got hands-on scanning different classmates, learning about different pathologies that during the third year, I would then go into clinical and see the exact same thing. I tell the students that I work with now that one of the biggest benefits of MCPHS is that our students in the ultrasound field can go into their clinical sites knowing how to do a full exam because we get so much time scanning the year before. So we just have so much experience on that end that prepares us very well for clinical and therefore in the job field. I had my clinical at Brigham and Women's, which is where I got hired post-graduation, which was perfect.
It's a great example of those hands-on experiences out at these hospitals and other facilities nearby, leading to full-time employment. So we're super happy that worked out for you, Natasha. The other thing that's really great to hear is those opportunities to, whether it's cleaning teeth of your friends and your classmates or scanning your friends and your classmates. So as an MCPHS student, you can expect to get asked to be a patient for your classmates at least a time or two in your time at MCPHS. So we'll move on to the next question. This question is, can you talk about the impact that the MCPHS faculty have had on your success? I'll start this question off with you, Shilton.
Yeah, so I think for me personally, the faculty definitely made a huge impact on my education and my experiences. Trying to do my bachelor's while, while also trying to get good experiences to make me a really good candidate for graduate school. And my plan is to go to medical school. It was difficult, but it was something that was very well accommodated at school because the faculty are so willing to help you on your journey. They really do want to be a part of your journey. They want to know what kind of experiences you're looking for. And like others have mentioned, you really do become a part of a big network when you join MCPHS, a network of healthcare providers, healthcare educators, people who have connections in all these great hospitals in Longwood area. And so for me, the School of Arts and Sciences specifically, I grew very close with a couple of my professors who are now writing recommendation letters for me for graduate school. And then in addition to that, I was also involved in the School of Arts and Sciences honors program, where I got to work really closely with professors on different research projects. And I think that is something really special, that you get to work on a research project very closely with a mentor who's a professor in the school. And you have the opportunity to publish together, to present at conferences. And I think that for me really made my experience really special, getting to work so closely with faculty members.
That's awesome. Thanks very much, Shilton, for that answer. I'll ask the same question to you, Patsy. If you could just talk a little bit about the impact that the MCPHS faculty has had on you.
Sure, Tim. Yeah, and you might have to stop me because I can go on and on about how great the faculty are. I think that's definitely been one of my favorite things about having attended MCPHS. And I know the question was faculty, but I'm going to expand that to faculty and staff. I can't tell you the impact that the whole MCPHS community has had on my career trajectory. I mean, I got my first job in pharmacy because of the people in the admissions office. I'll tell you about a story. When we do experiential educational opportunities in our last year of the program, and I had applied to a highly competitive spot at the FDA. And so I actually didn't get it based on my own resume and my own CV, but instead of kind of just being down in the dumps, one of the fine people at the Office of Experiential Education worked with me one-on-one to help me, and they actually placed me at Biogen, where I was able to do an internship. And Biogen is actually where I'm employed now. So that kind of put my foot in the door. And I'll always remember that kind of individual attention that they gave me. In addition, with other staff members, the Res Life team, I was an RA for 3 years, and just the amount of life lessons that you get at school. I think everyone thinks of school as, academic.
I think I might have lost.
But there's so much that goes on at these type of things.
Sorry about that. I might have had an audio issue. Thank you very much, Patsy, for that answer. So moving on to the next question. Again, sorry if I cut you off there, Patsy. But the next question for Natasha. Can you tell us what made you want to work in the healthcare field?
Sure. I had a pretty personal reason for working in healthcare. I started looking, at different colleges in high school, and my aunt had actually worked in the Department of Acupuncture at MCPHS on the Worcester side. My sister was actually going to nursing school during the time that I was in high school. And so I started to shadow, a little bit of my local hospital on Long Island. And I kind of got a look into how much care the entire hospital puts into these patients, and honestly, how much of a relationship you can build with these patients. And that's what attracted me to the field. Specifically ultrasound. I know that, some people think an ultrasound is, quick in and out, but ever since working, we have a couple patients in the lab that come back, every 3 weeks, whether they're in, research trials or, they've had different transplants. And I think the fact that you can be with the patient for, from 20 minutes to 2 hours, and you really get the feeling that you are such a critical member to their care team, and they are just so appreciative of it. And that's one of the biggest reasons that drew me into healthcare, was knowing that I could at least help a couple of these people, for 8.5 hours of my day every day.
Excellent. Thanks very much. I'll ask the same question of you, Nick. What was it that made you want to work in the healthcare field, or in the field of dentistry specifically?
So at first, it started at a really young age. I just always liked science. It was always my favorite subject. I was always good at it. I found it interesting. And then as I continued out throughout school, I just continued shadowing different professions. So I think at one point I was interested in pediatrics and surgery. So I shadowed different people at local hospitals. And then when I went to MCPHS, that was part of the reason, was because of the healthcare focus. So I was kind of a little undecided. I wasn't totally sold on dentistry yet, but my mom works as a dental assistant. So I kind of already knew a little bit of the ins of dentistry from that side of it. And then working with my oral surgeon when I got my wisdom teeth out, she kind of told me about more of the field, how flexible it can be. So I really liked those aspects, that it's family oriented, for at least what I do. And so I was like, oh, well, I'm going to explore dentistry more. And then the opportunity came up to do the pre-dental dental hygiene program at MCPHS. And I was like, that sounds great. I'll be able to learn more about dentistry that way. get some hand-on experience through dental hygiene, and then use those skills and knowledge to get me through dental school.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's, you're not the only one who's had that experience as a patient in your younger years, in your formative years. That's sort of inspired you. I'm sure so many people that are watching out there are in the same boat, and that's what's inspired them. So it's really good to hear and see the success stories of folks who've been in that position. So thanks for that answer, Nick. Just a reminder to all of those watching, if you do have any additional questions, you can put those into the Q&A. Those are all the sort of questions we had in advance. I do have one more question that I'm going to ask all the panelists, which is just whether they have any advice for any incoming accepted first-year students or transfer students that might be out there watching. We'll start with Shilton. Any advice that you have for the accepted students today?
Yeah, I think, the MCPHS campus is in such a great location. It's in Longwood. There's so much to do on campus. I think my piece of advice is to get involved. You're in college, you're either a freshman or a transfer, and you have so much available to you within arm's length. And so my biggest piece of advice is get involved, immerse yourself in the experiences that are available to you, and just enjoy your time.
Excellent. Great advice. Patsy, any advice that you have for the accepted students watching this evening?
Yeah, so I have two pieces of advice to kind of leave you with. And the first would be just be prepared. There's going to be times when opportunities will come up. And so you want to make sure you're ready for those opportunities. So whether that's just staying on top of your schoolwork, being proactive and looking for networking opportunities, things like that. Don't let an opportunity pass you by because there are going to be many at MCPHS. And then my second piece of advice is kind of a little bit more holistic, and that's pay attention. So again, not so much pay attention, definitely pay attention in classes, definitely pay attention in school, but pay attention to what's going on in the world around you. I think right now healthcare really needs compassionate, kind, and thoughtful leaders. And so just pay attention to that. Make sure you bring it with you to MCPHS. And I look forward to kind of seeing you on the other side and joining me as an alumni.
That's great. Thanks. Next, Natasha, any advice that you have for our accepted students this evening?
I was kind of going to jump off what Shilton said. The faculty and the staff that you have at MCPHS, they also have amazing outreach into the Longwood medical area. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to, ask for more help. Don't be afraid to reach out if you want to make more of an impact, whether it's your first, second, third, whatever year it is. If you have an opportunity in your head or you want to start volunteering somewhere, don't be afraid to ask them for help, because everyone is definitely willing to give you some help in that field.
Awesome. And last, Nick, what advice do you have for our accepted students?
So yes, kind of go off to what Natasha said. My advice would kind of be to follow your passion. So whether it's pharmacy or dentistry or radiography, or if you want to go into medical school, is to just not give up. The MCPHS, through their faculty, through the Longwood medical area resources, there's so many people there to help you and support you. So if you have a passion for helping underserved populations, there's other opportunities to get involved with that. Whether it's joining different clubs and organizations, just get involved and follow your passion, because MCPHS, especially with the healthcare, there's plenty of ways that you can achieve what you want to do.
Thanks. Yeah, endless opportunities for sure for folks who join us at MCPHS. So thanks very much for all that advice. We're going to transition into the Q&A that's come in this evening. The first question I'm going to ask Patsy. Patsy, someone was wondering about opportunities for graduates of our PharmD program to move into the corporate side of the world of pharmacy. Can you touch a little bit upon what your knowledge is of that?
Yeah, Tim, happy to. And I think I'm poised for that because currently I'm in a corporate role. So one of the amazing things about a Doctor of Pharmacy program is that it's so versatile in what you can do after graduation. And I believe that's because of the skill set you develop throughout school, throughout the curriculum, throughout the learning opportunities. So, and actually one of my favorite classes at MCPHS was called Organizational Psychology. And it kind of talked about what it would take to be successful in a corporate environment. So like I said, I work in a corporate environment right now because I work for a drug development company, which if anyone is familiar, and if you're not, I would encourage you to look at what biotech means in Cambridge, because there's probably over 200 companies that call Cambridge their home right across the river from MCPHS. MCPHS also sponsors the second largest postgraduate fellowship training program. And so these are opportunities after you graduate to be placed in these pharmaceutical industry locations and get valuable training. So that's what I did after I graduated. And then so I did my postgraduate training at Biogen, and now I'm full-time at Biogen. So I think there's a lot of opportunities in pharmacy with the corporate side of things, just because of the skill set that the PharmD curriculum provides.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for all that insight, Patsy. We've got another question that asks a little bit about career services. We've talked so much about the jobs that you all have and that you have gotten. So Nick, could you tell us a little bit about your experience with the career services, the offerings that the career services team at MCPHS has for their students?
Yeah, so for me, I use the career services to both help me write personal statements. So a lot of the graduate programs, like if you're going into medical school or for me, dental school, we have to write a personal statement talking about ourselves. So it's a little bit different writing than I'm used to doing, having to write a whole paper about yourself and keeping it short and sweet. So they kind of helped me review that and revise that. I also use them for writing resumes and cover letters. And they actually came into some of my classes that we had, and they kind of went over that, and then we made appointments. We used mock interviews. They also do those. So we went in there and they asked us some questions, and we kind of pretended like it was a real interview. So they really do prepare you for the real world. As an alumni, they sometimes will post different job openings on the alumni site. So they definitely stay involved as an alumni and as a student as well.
Thanks very much, Nick. Another question that we have, just reading the question, for Shilton. Shilton, what are some strategies that you use to stay on track with your schoolwork while you're at MCPHS?
Yeah, I think time management is something that you're constantly building upon. And so when I started school at MCPHS, it was a lot to juggle at once, especially if you're involved in clubs and organizations, you're doing classes, you're doing a lot of things. But I think, keeping a planner or keeping a calendar, either Google Calendar or Outlook or whatever you want to use, plan your day. Like if you want, school can become very stressful too. So even planning in time for you to take a break, rest, it could be useful to stay on track of things. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. We had a question about the first year experience. Natasha, can you talk a little bit about your experience as an incoming first year student at MCPHS?
Of course I can. So I came from New York. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do. I lived in one of our dorms that was the Treehouse, so I got to meet a whole bunch of people from all over, which was amazing. I got to meet people from all different majors in that. It was great coming into a new environment and being in such an amazing location at MCPHS University. It was definitely a transition going from high school to MCPHS, which is definitely another piece of advice that I would give would be to stay on track with all of your classes and just do whatever helps you to stay on top of all of the classwork that you might have. It was definitely a big transition, but it got easier. With all the people that you meet at MCPHS, they make it much easier as well. For me specifically, I got to meet pretty much all the people in my major first year, which was super helpful because we all had classes together. So meeting them and then growing with them until third year, and now, working with some of them, it definitely made first year a lot easier. But all of the support that you have first year really helps you progress throughout your time at MCPHS University.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And, that answer and really a lot of the answers tonight have really struck me about the common theme that MCPHS is a pretty tight-knit community where everyone's kind of got each other's back, whether it be the staff members like Patsy was talking about, all the resources that we have for our students, students having each other's backs. There's so many people that want to see you succeed. And I think there's a lot of things that MCPHS offers to help you get there. So I think that might wrap it up for all the questions that we have. I want to thank all of our panelists, Chilton, Patsy, Nick, Natasha, for their time and their insight. I want to congratulate all of our accepted students once again, and thank you very much for your time, for joining us today. If you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at admissions@mcphs.edu. We'll answer your question or get you in touch with your counselor or someone else who can answer your question. We hope to hear from you soon, and I hope you have a great night. Thanks so much.